is time. It is time to brew your best beer.
The 2019 SJ Pour Challenge Gold sponsors. A special thanks to double gold sponsor Bouncer, keeping the dregs out with an inline filter for homebrewers. BrewTubers Online Brewers Club, forums, recipes, and news updates, and more. Yakima Valley Hops, fresh from the source to your kettle. Omega Yeast Labs, fresh, healthy, unique yeast. Jaded Brewing, home of the fastest immersion wort chiller, the Hydra. Kempfo's 2001 CTSP Pink, the world's favorite chlorinated homebrew cleaner with a unique pink color indicator. And our silver sponsor, the Brew Bag, simply the easiest way to brew great beers at home.
Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everyone. I just got done judging my batch of 5 SJ Pour Challenge beers for the 2019 competition. I got 5. I guess 2 people dropped out. 5 did make it to the hub. I just finished doing my score sheets. I think I'm comfortable with my scores. I don't know how they're going to compare. It's out of 40 instead of the usual 50 that you see via BJCP style guidelines. So the guidelines are a little different. It was actually nice to have a spreadsheet that was all set up to go, though, and just type out my tasting notes. Found that to be much quicker to get through a beer than if I had to handwrite everything. I'm a much faster typer. I didn't know how that was going to work. If I was going to maybe print out the sheet, handwrite stuff, and then copy it. But I decided, well, the printer's out of black ink right now, so I can't print out anything at home anyway. So I decided, well, let me sit here at my computer and type them out. And I actually found that to work out really well. Maybe in the future for BJCP competitions, way in the future, we'll just be able to sit there and type things out. Oh, man, that would make things go so much quicker. So anyway, just some feedback on the 5 beers. A lot of you are using colored caps, which I know maybe a lot of people entering this competition aren't serious about entering their beers in competition, which is fine. Don't get me wrong, but you definitely want to get away from using colored caps. It does affect judging. If you see an orange cap, a red cap, excuse me, blue cap, an American flag cap, for one, it sets the beer apart. And judges tend to think that you're maybe not a serious brewer or your skill level is lower because you're not using the standard gold or silver cap. So I recommend if you guys, the color ones are fine, American flag ones are fine. Just set aside bottles for competitions that don't use colored caps. So they're just using standard silver and gold. That's my tip. If you don't know, I run competitions for my homebrew club. So I've judged first round of nationals, the big San Diego competition. So I'm fairly familiar with homebrew competitions these days. But the other thing I noticed in a lot of the first round beers that I had was carbonation levels were very low, almost across the board. And so I think there could be a couple things. It could be, I think a lot of you are probably bottling from the keg. And I know this because I've a lot, is you might like the carbonation coming out into your glass at home, but when you go to put that into a bottle, there's going to be a lot more foaming issues, a lot more CO2 escaping. So before you bottle, you want to crank up that carbonation level a bit more. I'm not saying you push the beer out quicker. You want to push the beer out of the keg nice and slow. Use cold bottles. Get it so there's the least amount of foaming possible, because any kind of that foam, that's CO2 escaping. And a lot of these beers I had were very undercarbonated for their styles. So that'd be my tip there is before you bottle, at least the night before, crank up the CO2. Obviously avoid shaking up the keg too much, but if you can bump up the carbonation level, at least, some of these beers need probably a whole volume level more carbonation, and if you can't do that, you can't get it into the bottle, especially Belgian style beers, sour beers, do the bottle conditioning. It's not going to hurt the flavors as much as if you did that bottle conditioning for a lot of other styles, particularly Pilsners, most lagers, IPAs, that kind of thing, American beers. I know the bottle conditioning might hurt those, but yeah, get a little more CO2 into your keg prior to bottling, and then you can always bleed that off later. But yeah, try to keep the head space just a little, when you go to bottle, just a little bit of CO2 on that head space so you can push it out nice and slow. I don't know what you guys are using to fill up your bottles, but a beer gun or counter pressure filler will help out immensely in that. But so yeah, those are kind of my tips from what I saw first round. Some nice beers. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll stay tuned. Until next time, happy homebrewing. Cheers.